Good morning, Tempo Freaks and Raptor Freaks. Alexi out here. It's Monday morning, and we're reacting to the Tempo losing to the Golden State Valkyries yesterday on the first game of their West Coast road trip. They have now lost 6 in a row, and they've only won 3 out of their last 17. They're 3-14 in their last 17 games. It truly is expansion team doldrums. Yeah, Sandy talked about it a lot before the game and after the game, saying, "We are an expansion team." We are an expansion team because it's true, we are. And this is normal. Expansion team much more normal than whatever propped up things going on for the Valkyries right now. Because it's artificial. I can tell. Once again, I do not respect Golden State. I feel like, first of all, we're missing our $1,000,000 backcourt. Mabry was a scratch. Mabry didn't play last night, and Sykes has not played for a while. And I feel like with them and the new addition of Morrow, we would have beat the Valkyries yesterday. That's what I'm saying. We match up really well with them. We actually run real well with them. Unlike the other teams that are top in the league, they're kind of like us. They're still making mistakes and trying to figure out who they are and their culture because they've only got their second year of existence this year. So, in some ways, I can see really bad turnovers by the Valkyries where they throw the ball into the corner and nobody's there and all kinds of other stuff going on with them. They're not as polished as teams like the Aces or the Lynx. That's why I'm like, when y'all put them at the top of the league, that's manufactured. They're given easy wins in certain ways. Schedule makers are nice to them, referees are nice to them, and they're propping them up and inflating their victories this year. They're not a real top team. They're actually a mid team that's getting the benefit of the full wind behind their back of Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA. I can see clearly through it, because they make just as bad chemistry mistakes as we do. They mess up all the time. It's just some ways the big key to beat the Valkyries is to not let them get going on threes. And that's what Sandy said after the game. We let them have too many good looks in the first half from three, and that messed us up. We should have been guarding the 3-point shot better and not letting them get these shots and these open looks. They don't do that. They're an ordinary team. I'm sorry. I don't respect them. I respect Salone. I think she's a very powerful player and she's coming up. But overall, I don't respect this team. I don't like Burton. First of all, there's something about Burton that I just don't like. And I don't like what's her name off the bench either. See, I don't even want to remember her name. She's so annoying. The girl who Temmie flattened and then came back and talked to her afterwards. Hayes. Yeah, Hayes. She's a jerk. Honestly, I'm gonna say that right now. She's got some real issues with her. I have issues with her. I have issues with her. In some ways, she was being very disrespectful. In some ways, she didn't have the right to be disrespectful. This is something that's kind of bugged me about the trends in basketball. It used to be that you talk trash under your breath and nobody could hear it. But now there's uh, very visual ways to shade someone on the court, like doing too small and just hand stuff and all kinds of stuff. It's really getting out of hand. I think that this is part of the reason why basketball is getting into more problems with skirmishes and conflict and over physicality. CBL, NBA, WNBA all have this issue where people are mocking people too much and doing hand gestures and doing all this other shit. This extracurricular tacky ass shit in some ways needs to stop. I was calling out about this like a decade ago. We're saying kids are learning bad habits about sportsmanship in basketball right now. There's too many people, they're talking trash. And I mean, I've seen these horrendous clips where some of these kids are doing the most distasteful, rude kind of shit to other little kids on the court and thinking it's funny or it's a part of being a star or playing basketball. That stuff needs to go out the window because this is the stuff that's ruining the league, in my opinion. People think it's funny to talk trash or to do too small or to do all this other stuff. And then they're whining and crying when that same player is on the ground hurt because somebody smashed them for being a jerk. You know, seriously, if you're going to be a little shit and you're going to do hand gestures and you're going to act in a certain kind of way, expect to get some Oakley physicality against you. Seriously, that's the way it's always been. That's the way you regulate jerks and bad sports people that do not, respect the game or their opponent and do extra ticky tack dumbass shit. Like, seriously, I'm sick of it. I'm seeing it way too much. It's destroying the CBL, honestly, because the shit talk and the facing off and all the dumb stuff, including my guy Miles Powell from the Scarborough Shooting Stars, he is totally guilty of this, and I don't like it. I'm sick of it. That shit that shouldn't be on the court like this. Trash talk is an art. Ask Reggie Miller. Trash talk is an art. Ask Larry Bird. It's not having anything to do with hand gestures and showing up people publicly visually through the screen. No, it's muttering something under your breath like, you can't guard me. Yeah, I'm going to go over there and you can't do a damn thing about it. That's real trash talk. Trash talk isn't telling a person that's a foot taller than you that they're too small, because that doesn't make any fucking sense. If you made the shot over a big person, you said too small, you're an idiot. That's dumb as fuck. Maybe if you posted somebody mouse in the house and beat them that way and you did too small, that would make sense. But people just doing too small just to do it after any kind of offensive move is one of the stupidest trends in basketball right now. I just think that we need to dial back this aspect, or the sport is losing good sportsmanship. It's losing respect. It's losing, the sanctity of the game because it's degenerating into bullshit where it's more likely to fight and there's more likely to be dumbass extracurriculars that are not necessary in a basketball game. So it's like, yeah, you can't have it two ways. You can't at the same time cheer Angel Reese while she's sassy and giving all kinds of crazy looks and hand gestures. And then when she gets a little bit hit, you whine and cry for her like she's been a victim. You can't do this shit. These people are going to talk trash. They deserve to get hit, is what it is. Seriously. That's the way it always worked in the 80s in the NBA. That's the way it worked in the 90s too. At some point, the soft-ass LeBron James generation made it all talk, but no repercussions. Yeah, there should be repercussions for people that talk trash in ways that they should just not be doing it. Disrespect is not necessary in the game of basketball. The way that they used to let disrespect happen, you kick their ass, you score 30, and you win the game. Yeah, but there's too much of this. There's role players. There's people at the end of the bench talking trash like there's somebody. It's almost like we need a top dog like Michael Jordan in this world to regulate and put the fear in everybody to just shut up and stop their extracurriculars. Yeah, I'll get off my soapbox on this. But I do feel these opinions that the hand gestures and all the bullshit that players do in basketball today is unnecessary, is bad sportsmanship, and this shit needs to go. It's so tired at this point. Seriously, it's not like Too Small is original or interesting or funny at this point. It's so fucking played out. Seriously. All right, let's talk more about the game. Once again, we saw a great game in the first half for the Tempo, running with the team and keeping up with the other team and doing great things considering they're missing very key players. A huge chunk of their salary cap sitting out on the bench. Yeah, not being able to use Marina, Brittany, or Anissa, that hurt. We could have used any of those three. When I heard that Marina was not going to play in the middle of the day before the game, I was like, this sucks. This is no good. I hate this. I wish she'd show up. Some Tempo fans are calculating, is this a tank? Is this a weird way of slumming a game to lose? Because in some ways the Tempo are on undercover tank mode now. Well, that may be possible. I mean, these are some of the things that I won't say that they're tanking actively, but it's the kind of thing where if you determine your season's kind of lost and you have players that have any kind of little nagging injuries like Marina's neck, you kind of say, okay, poor baby, you can sit out and we don't need you today. Because in some ways, We're not going all out anymore. And if it's just a little tiny nagging injury, well, we can use that and we can say it, and it's a valid excuse, and we'll put you out for the game. I think Marina probably could have played yesterday if we were still playing for things that matter, and she might have probably been out there if we were still playing for things that matter. That's the thing. We've seen this with the Raptors too in a non-playoff season a couple years ago. That at the end of the season, near the end of the season, if the team is really not in a position to compete for a playoff position, you'll start seeing DMPs happen in various ways. In some ways, this is a great opportunity for Kiki Rice to have the spotlight on her and show that she could be the franchise team leader for a game in the absence of the $1 million backcourt. Because I don't think there was any games earlier in the season where Kiki did not play with both of them. So there was always at least one of them out there with her. So it really, really did kind of become a tempo team centered around the young rookie from Miss UCLA. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I got my stars of the game. I'm gonna go over the CBL playoffs for you because the matchups are set, and we got the classic card and all the other stuff we do on the channel. Let me check in with Trevor J first in the chat. Our commissioner of fun, Mr. Trevor. What are you saying this morning? You never know who's watching your walks. Who's watching me? Privacy rights. So make sure you're walking the path God's leading. Yeah, if God's watching me, I guess that's what they say. God is watching you. Is that all right? Is that a surveillance state? Maybe a little bit. God, why are you watching me? Oh, you just do. You're watching everybody. You're omnipresent. If anybody else is watching me while I'm walking in the woods or walking with my girl or doing anything else, you're breaking the law because we do have privacy laws, and citizens should have privacy in their lives as far as, not being watched or surveilled or, things like that. Citizens' rights. Seriously. So, yeah, as long as it's the almighty God above, I'm okay with it. But if it's anybody else who's watching me walk in the woods, then, well, I'm going to have a problem. And hopefully there's still law enforcement and a legal system that will protect you and your privacy rights. That's what I'm hoping for. Blessings to Jones family and all the Raptor Freak families. Thank you, Trevor, for being here as you always are. Thank you. Trevor J is also saying this: the Tempo played a good game, but come up short. We needed to make more buckets. This is the thing. When you have Marina out, you have Brittany out, you need to get everybody to be scoring. They said it during the game. Julie is usually trying to be a point guard and distribute, but Julie has to score today, Miss Alamo, because everybody's got to chip in and start giving some points to the total so that we can run with the Valkyries and try and keep up with them and outscore them. There's been a trend recently with the tempo where we're letting other teams score over 100 points on us. In fact, we broke a WNBA record apparently where we let a team 4 games in a row score 100 points on us, and no WNBA team had done that in the history of the league. That's pretty bad. That we were the first team ever to have 100 points scored on us in 4 straight games. That's pretty bad, y'all. In some ways, we don't want to get in the record book for stuff like that. But there really is symbolic or evidence of overbuilding our team with offense without enough defense on it from the expansion draft and the way we built this team from the start. Sure, we do have a good defense in some ways, but it really has to be locked in and has to be on the same page, all 5 members of the team that's on the court at the same time, for it to have its legs and hold up. Because otherwise, if there's a weak link, if there's a little bit of a mistake, it can all crumble real quick and they can figure out the puzzle and score on us. The big part last night was getting to their 3-point shooters. In some ways, we had a issue with Kia Stokes right from the start, where she was playing big pivot and she was actually beating us up down low in the classic way. And in some ways, we adjusted to try and crowd her and stop her and stymie her. But then we forgot about the outside, and the threes started raining down from people like Saloon. So that's the thing. In some ways, it's a pick your poison. And Natalie, the coach of the Valkyries, knew this. As an old friend of Sandy, she's like, Sandy, pick your poison. Pick your poison. There was a part in the first half where the tempo brought the tempo up really frenetically. It was a very fast-paced game for a little bit there in the first half, if you didn't notice. And in some ways, that was really working for the tempo. because we were making them play to our level of pace and quickness. And they didn't play as well when they were all sped up. The Valkyries, they were a little bit more apt for turnovers and being disorganized. And meanwhile, the tempo in that chaos kind of thrive with players like Conde rocketing up the court with the ball and just push, 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 push. Some of that was really working, and some of that is the key to the success of the tempo in the future. But it's also a very tough, chaotic way to play, and it's also very tiring. It takes a lot of energy to play that way. So the first half was interesting. Once again, we come back from the second halftime in the third, and the other team's adjusted. The other team has got a couple things changed, and they're a little bit more figuring out another thing and a strategy that's actually really effective in beating the tempo. And that's kind of what happened. Things separated in the third quarter because they did a really good job. They honestly, you know what they were doing that was so good? Their defensive trapping was really messing us up. We love our Kiki Rice. She's a fantastic rookie, but she made rookie mistakes last night, and she got in traps and she got her pocket picked a few times by Veronica Burton and a couple other people. And there's traps that they were setting on us on inbounds plays, and seeing Yaskeda and Conde and Rice struggle with not protecting the ball and allowing them to steal the ball at times. That was really frustrating. And that was very much a game plan of Coach Nikasi, and how she jumped on us and right at the inbounds and got a few picks that way. We've seen this a few times this year, particular against the Liberty and a couple other teams like I guess Atlanta too, where they really picked our pockets in bringing the ball up the court. We've got to do better in this department. In some ways, I'll bet you Kiki Rice learned something last night. She's pissed about how they just took her cookies. And she was like, she's not about that. She's going to remember this. And she's going to watch the tape, and she's going to think about, in theory, how the hell did that happen to me? How did they get the ball from me in those situations where they tied me up and then they just poke the ball out, and then all of a sudden I got a turnover? No, Kiki's got a learning curve. She's a rookie, and she did have some rookie mistakes. And in some ways, honestly, that's not really a mistake. It's just that they came at her with pressure. And in some ways, she learned that the WNBA is a whole other league than college, and it's hard. And there's hard stuff and things that happen to you in the WNBA that you have to weather against. And that kind of barrage on defense where they're coming to get you and take the ball from you, well, she learned there's another level of like having to hold vultures off from trying to steal your basketball. Yeah. Yeah, that was very effective by the Valkyries. They got some really easy transition points off of some of those defensive steals, and they kind of messed up our confidence in a certain way from getting a couple of those plays like that. Another big key was that they shot the three way better high percentage than us. As Sandy said after the game, she felt like we were taking good looks. We shot about the same amount of threes, but they made twice as many as us. So it was a really bad situation with them outscoring us from the 3-point line. So, some of our players were not dialed in, and they were not making anything. And their players, some of them are very good. Like Saloon, wow. The way she played the 3-point shootout at the All-Star weekend, and the way she played in the first game we played against them, she's their best player. She's their best player. She's going to come up in the years to come, and she's going to be the franchise face of the Valkyries. I'm telling you right now, even though she comes off the bench right now, she is their best player. She's absolutely their best player. So Trevor's saying this. I like Kiki's game. Very strong player. Yes. There were a couple of plays where Kiki went into the lane, and some of it was really fancy. Oh, my gosh. She's doing some and one mixtape kind of dribble this way, juke, juke, dot, dot, dot. Because she's so fundamentally good. It's not really ostentatious. It's not like really right in your face or really like, wow. Like some people are very flamboyant when they're doing their crossovers and their moves to juke people on their move to the basket. But she's very understated with it and fundamental. See, if you don't watch her closely, you're going to miss some of the expertise and the level of talent that she has with just the ball handling. There was, her whole thing is she does a move with the dribble, a little bit of crossover, a little bit of, and then go around. And then when she gets inside, I mean, she's beating two more people on defense by bashing into them with her shoulder, taking the physicality, and then kind of like doing a fall bank shot and getting it and getting and ones too. And I love that. I love that. That's grittiness. That's toughness. That's what Trevor saw. And the thing about Kiki right now, she's only come back for a couple games since she's been out most of the season, and she still doesn't have a rhythm. And it's evidenced by like her threes not going down yet. And some of the offense she's got from the outside is not going down yet because she doesn't have her offensive rhythm yet. But she does have a very steady presence on offense for setting like the tone and keeping people organized and kind of getting a feel for the tempo being kind of confident. But also at the same time, she's got to get back with her conditioning and her rhythm, and she's going to get better and better, especially on this road trip. In fact, I expect her next game against Golden State, partly because she's a competitor and she has fire, that she's going to play way better on Tuesday. And I'm going to make a bold prediction right now that she is going to have a really good scoring game tomorrow, especially if Marina's out again, which I hope is not going to happen. Trevor's saying this: the Valkyries had a very nice welcome back for Temi last night. Yeah, this is kind of a little bit of a controversial subject because Temi was very outspoken last year when she was on the Valkyries. It's got to be interesting to be on two different expansion teams 2 years in a row on their first year. In some ways, that's historical, right? Temi Fagbenle, first year Valkyrie. Temi Fagbenle, first year Tempo. Her experiences the 2 years are quite different. Obviously, last year they were going towards the playoffs, and she probably wasn't as hurt as she was this year as she was last year. So, she said something and they get really weird there. Like I can already tell, like the Valkyries fan nation is annoying. The Valkyries fan nation is a bunch of whiners. The Valkyries fan nation think they're all that in a bag of chips. So they've got airs to them and this bullshit ball holla and all this other crap. Temi was into it last year because she's a part of it. And she made a big deal about cheering for returning players that are on the other team now and saying we this and this. And now she comes back as a returning player last night, and they said that she was supposed she thinks that she should be booed because that's the way it should be with basketball, and that if they're cheering, it's like not right or something like that. And well, they cheered her even though she told them, we shouldn't be cheering players that return. I'm not into this whole former player returns and you celebrate her and you make a big deal out of it. So it's interesting. They did celebrate her and cheer her because they like her from the first year of the Valkyries. But yeah, they're not kind of following what she asked last year, which is we shouldn't be cheering, that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't like the Valkyries in any kind of way. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's some weird get back coming back towards the tempo for the Raptors beating the Warriors in the championship. I can see it right now. If there's any crossover in the fan nations with the Valkyries and the Warriors, there's bitter people in the Warriors franchise that hate that the Raptors won the 2019 championship. And I mean, it's epitomized by who was in the front row last night, watching our game last night. Yeah, Draymond Green sitting in the game last night, watching the Tempo versus the Valkyries. So this is the thing. Golden State hates that they lost to Toronto. And in some ways, ever since, there's been weird little shade ways where Golden State Nation is trying to take pot shots at Toronto because we played them once in the finals and we beat their ass. And in some ways, we closed their arena, the Oracle. So there's still like weird bitterness between that market and our market. And I think that they're working through some bullshit out through the poor tempo in their first year as an expansion team out on them through the Valkyries. That's a theory I have. Because seriously, Draymond Green sitting there watching Golden State Valkyries beat Toronto Tempo. He gets a little bit of joy out of that from the pain we caused him, right? Right? Could you guys see what I'm saying here? This is part of the reason why I don't respect this team is because I can see the WNBA is propping them up, and honestly, they're not that good. And if we had one or two of our players back, like if Marina had been playing last night, we could have probably won this game last night. I'm going to say that right now. And this is a lot closer. The Tempo are a lot closer to the Valkyries than they are to the Lynx and the Aces. Yeah. Yeah, they are. They're a lot closer. Maybe we match up really well with them, stuff like that. Mr. Greg is here. Good morning, Mr. Greg. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. I hope you're having a great Monday morning so far. Happy civic holiday. Happy long weekend. That's right. Trevor's saying when we have all our tempo players back, we're going to win more games. Yeah, but who knows if that's going to happen this year? Like I said earlier, it could be very calculated. Well, Slim, don't worry about rushing back too much. We got to make sure your plantar fasciitis is as 100% as 100% can be. You know, we're really going to charge this phone battery. Oh, you've got 96 on your battery charge? Well, keep going. We want 100%. Nah, we won't bring you back in. You're at 96. Oh, I know that's a good charge. But no, we're going to give you 100. Maybe even see if the phone goes above that. So no Russian Sykes back. No Russian Sykes back. Just let her sit because honestly, I can see what they're doing. If Marina's going to sit out like she did last night, we're not trying for the rest of the year, Trevor. We're not trying. I know you guys are so competitive. You really, really want to win. You really, really, this is all kind of stuff. I get it. But you guys got to understand the assignment. We're in the expansion doldrums, and you just need to accept it. I know that y'all want to compete. In some ways, I was like, you know, if we beat the Valkyries, it'll be fun. We'll have a fun stream tomorrow. We'll celebrate. We'll be victorious. But also at the same time, some people might be saying, see, Lex, see, I told you they're good still. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not listening to me. If you guys are going to do this, if they win any games, you won't let me enjoy it then. I'm just being real here. In some ways, the assignment is not to win any more games. And 3 out of the last 17 games have been won, and that's it. 14 losses. So come on now, guys. It's like, let's not be schizophrenic and go into 2 different modes. In some ways, if it's going this way, it's going this way. And in some ways, I don't endorse tanking. I just endorse playing to the level you are, competing as hard as you can, building good habits, not losing habits. But if you don't have enough in the tank or the right personnel to beat the other team and you lose, that's just how it is. That's just naturally what happens. So yeah, that's the way I look at it right there. That's the way I look at it right there. Trevor's saying tomorrow's game's gonna be. See, he's already starting this shit. He's already starting this shit. Look, you know I'm a positive fan, but I'm a realistic fan too. I'm a realistic fan, and so listen to me right there. Yeah, Trevor's saying so we're going for a good pick in the draft. Exactly. That's exactly it right here. You know, this is the appropriate time to like. It's not tank culture or it's not tanking. I hate that word. This is a team that's been ravaged by injuries and has had a hard time getting their identity set because not everybody's been there the whole year. And this is something that happens in basketball. And well, in some ways, we can give our best effort. You know, part of it is the schedule is absolutely dreadful for the rest of the year. Absolutely dreadful. The easiest games we've got coming up are probably the Portland Fire games, the Seattle game, and the Mercury game at the end of the month. And everything else is hard, as hard, as hard, as hard. So it's like, you guys just temper your expectations. You know, cheer for your team, be proud of your team, love your team, but don't get all crazy with ideas and high expectations. Seriously. Seriously, don't get like that. Don't get like that. That's right. All right, let's do the stars of the game for yesterday. I have 3 stars in this loss. My number 1 star is, oh my gosh, this person was carrying us yesterday in the absence of Marina Mabry, and she has a thankless job. She is the anvil that gets hit by the hammer, literally, constantly. She is playing with a broken, busted side. You know, Angel Reese nailed her in the midsection. And ever since, she's had really hard problems with her back and her ribs. And that's Niara Sabali. Niara was a warrior fighter out there. She was just in there trying to do her best. In some ways, she was offensive power for us. You know, she was our leading scorer with 19 points in 25 minutes. She shot 50%, 6 of 12, and she was good for 3 of 5. They really trust Sabally in the corner when she's open with that 3. In fact, there was a really awesome play later in the game where they worked it around, and boom, there's Niara, and you can trust her. If she's wide open right there, she's gonna nail it. And there's a lot of trust in her 3, and I like that. The other thing, we've seen more of her putting the ball on the floor and driving to the basket and trying to make layups that way. She's a very aggressive offensive player, and in some ways, we needed that last night. We needed that with the absence of our $1 million backcourt. So yeah, 3 for 5 from 3, 4 for 7 from free throw, and her free throws are really pissing me off. There's one point where she missed the second free throw, and she got her own rebound at least, but she's really not shooting free throws right. And the way that she misses them is really bad, either short or it's coming off the back of the iron and bricking straight out. I'm telling you, you can't do this move anymore, Niara. And I'll say it to Isabel too, because she does the same thing where you flip the ball up, you catch it, and then you shoot. No, the kinetics of the ball being flipped up and spinning around, you're adding extra energy to the molecules of the ball because you flipped it up and it's chaotically just flipping, and then you're going to catch it. Well, the ball's not dead in your hand when you catch it. No, it's got it all worked up because you threw the ball. This is physics. And the molecules in the basketball are actually moving the small because you flipped it up. No, you want to hold the ball and get the molecules settled down and then put the ball up. When y'all flip the ball up and catch it and then shoot, that's really bad free throw procedure. I hate that kind of free throw shot. And that's why y'all are missing. I'm going to say it again. That's why y'all are missing Niara and Isabel, because you do a little flip free throw. And the kinetics and the physics of the molecules are getting shook up from you just throwing the ball up and catching it. Because even when you catch it, how the hell are you putting your hands on the ball exactly right for where you want to hold it? I know when I used to shoot free throws, the way I always like to hold the ball, I guess I'll get the ball just to show, is, you got this part of the ball where it's kind of like a right angle right here. And I always used to like to hold the ball like with my thumb on this line and my fingertips up on the end like here. And you really get a good grip on the ball, and you really can put your spin into the shot off your palm and your fingertips. See, if you're catching it and throwing it up like that, your hands are just randomly all over the ball anywhere, right? So you're not really gripping the ball in a familiar place. This was always my pocket hold right here with the thumb on the line like that and the fingertips just grasping that, and it's the best way for me to palm it too. So that's what I'm saying. This is coaching shit. This is coaching shit. And maybe Lex shouldn't be coaching WNBA players on how to shoot free throws, but I do this to NBA players too. So don't think this is some sort of weird mansplaining, because I'll analyze one of the Raptors free throw shots and do the exact same thing I'm doing to Niara right now. But this has got to change, because what's happening is you're missing free throws at key points late in the game where we absolutely need all the momentum we need to try and make it up. And you're missing a free throw. And that is such a huge letdown, because everybody's like, oh, that's a point we should have got to go towards erasing the lead, but we didn't get it. And then everybody's like, oh, and then we're not building a momentum and energy to come back. So you guys got to do this better, especially in the fourth quarter. And there was some missed free throws by Sabally that drove me nuts right at the end of the game. Yeah, also 8 rebounds. So she was in there doing her part as her size and her position. 1 assist, 3 turnovers, +1. She was the only tempo player that had a plus in her plus minus. So a real winning effect. There was that point in the game where she left the game early and went to the back, and everybody's like, oh, crap, this again. But she actually came back out with more fire and intensity and played at an even higher level after she came back from being in the locker room. So that was good. My second star of the game for the game last night is Kiki. Kiki Rice was steady. She's a steady player, but in some ways her offense is not there yet from coming back from injury. And but she's doing a lot of really cool things so far. She's really is a good organizer. And when you have her out there with Julie, it's like double protection. It's like having 2 firewalls on your computer. You got 2 firewalls for protection. If one fails, the other one's there to keep a quality level up for the team and ball handling and just trying to, do things right. So yeah, Kiki was interesting last night. 27 minutes, 16 points on 6 of 12 shooting. That was all inside, and that was all her as point guard going up against bigs down low and trying to score and muscle around them. The stuff that Trevor and I were just talking about. As far as Kiki's so strong and going in there and just making these crazy shots and taking contact. Yeah, it's really, really good stuff. But it is also a way that you can take a lot of wear and tear because you're taking a lot of physicality. There could very well be an evolution to Kiki Rice where she does a lot of this stuff to get tougher and understand operating inside with the bigs. But later, she gets savvy and smarter and she understands mixing it up between inside and outside. Her outside shot's going more, and she can protect her body a little bit more by not having to go in there and battle the giants all the time. So yeah, she was fantastic. 50% for her also, 6 of 12 from the field, 16 points, missed both her threes. She made all 4 of her free throws. She's very professional in that way. 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, and a steal, a -1. Yeah, she's just I was really looking forward to seeing her as the focal point last night. And in some ways, she didn't totally disappoint. It would have been nice if we had seen some momentous thing where Kiki Rice took over the game and was just the most dominant player on the court and won the game for the tempo somehow, some way. That would have been nice, but maybe not realistic at this point in her career right now. But I could see this in the years to come. Like you say, third year Kiki Rice might have powers where she can just kind of all of a sudden wake up and just run things in the game and get the W for her team. It's coming. It's coming. It's just that she's got to have the experience, go through the trials and tribulations. She's in a rookie year. She missed a huge chunk of it, but she's going to get it figured out more and more, especially when they were picking her pocket like they were. That's got to piss her off. She doesn't like that happening. I'll tell you that right now. My third star of the game is the other point guard, Julie Alamont. Julie is very like Kiki. They're just very quality control. They're very set standards and like they keep the team organized. And Julie, the thing that's really amazing about Alamont, the thing that I did not realize, I thought that it was overstated, but it's not. It's absolutely true. Just how badass a defender she is. Like, honestly, you look at her, you think, "Oh, she's a point guard." She plays like Steve Nash. She's really is like a very pass happy point guard, ball handler, tempo setter. But the really strong part of her game is the defense. And when Sandy brought that up when we first built this team, I was like, "Really? You're talking about Julie like she's some sort of defensive genius?" And I was like, "All right, let's see." And well, she's right. Julie is a defensive genius because she's able to not only play the guards her size, but she's also a good stopgap down low. If she's in a mismatch and she's got to play a big down low, all of a sudden, it's not the most scary thing. It's not mouse in the house, by the way. It's very much I'm an equal defender and I can defend you just as well as a big could defend you because I might strip the ball. I might even block your shot because I've got that kind of timing and athleticism that I can stop you. This aspects of Julie Alamont are so valuable because it's crazy because she's got the quickness of a guard and she can get back like a guard. But if the big is back, it's not a detriment because Julie can actually somewhat tie them up and stop them from scoring, even by herself on an island against like the center of the other team. It's amazing. She's done this consistently the whole year. And I'm like, this is badass. And not only that, she's a great rebounder for her size. She really has a laser focus to go and get the ball. And that's the thing. They say rebounding is effort. And Julie Alamont is the epitome of that. You put in the effort, you go get the ball, it's your ball. And even in a crowd, sometimes she'll have taller people around her. Somehow she gets the ball still out of the middle of a pack. How does she do that? It's completely purely want, desire. She wants it more than them. So she takes it. She gets it. It's so respectable. And so I love it. I love it so much. 34 minutes for the Belgian point guard, 11 points, 4 of 6 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. Yeah, she was hitting the threes early. 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, 1 block. That's right. There's that block. -9 for Julie Alamont. Yeah, that double barrel point guard look with Kiki and Julie is a fun team. It's a fun team. Yeah, and there's a lot of synergy there. I like the way they do their rotations in offense, where it kind of is a wave coming around, and because they have Kiki and Julie out there, there really is a really nice playmaking ability by going inward and inverting, and then flipping them over, and Kiki comes around, and then she has all the passing ability at the top. It's almost like Julie can come through, barnstorm through the lane, and do her little circular motion around, maybe the Nash pass through, and then Kiki's coming around the other way in another circle. And then that's a whole other opportunity for a very adept playmaker to make some good stuff happen for the team. The Tempo do a good job for the most part finding open people and looking for it. They are a little risky with their passes, and some of their passes are soft. And there are still problems with Conde and Yusketa kind of throwing half-ass passes and making us pay for it. But they are really good at looping some crazy long passes over people's heads and dropping it right in the right person's hands for really good shots too. Going over the rest of the team, I'll give an honorable mention to Laura Yusketa. 35 minutes, 15 points on 5 of 7 shooting, 1 of 3 from 3, 4 of 6 at the free throw line. She's out there battling. She's in a thankless job. I think that it's interesting between her and Conde, the reactions to the calls. Sometimes the calls are really bad, and they are totally against those two Europeans. They are not getting the proper calls for some of the stuff that's happening out there. And Conde can get in the face, and she can freak out about it and be shocked that the foul is actually on her. Meanwhile, Yusketa is having the same stuff to her, and she's just kind of like, okay, you guys are assholes, and I'm just playing. I'm just going to do what I do, what my coach wants me to do. I can't help it. In some ways, it's not that she surrendered, but it's kind of like, yeah, this is business as usual. I'm just going to play through it. And I appreciate that about Laura. Conde, she gets a little bit more like demonstrative about her reactions to the bad calls against her. A call where she got a call foul on her, which was really an offensive foul on the screener. And in particular, and when the ref said it, the foul was on Conde, she flipped out, and rightfully so. She's right, but that's the thing that's happening with those two players in particular. They're getting a lot of bad calls because they're getting not only rookie calls because they're rookies and they just came in, but they're getting the European tax also. Let's not overlook that. They're getting that also. And that's the thing. They have to realize on those inbounds passes that the WNBA athletes are quick, fast, and vicious. And they're coming to do some crazy things that maybe they don't deal with in a Euro League because, they're maybe not as quick and fast and strong and talented as some of the WNBA players. So they have to really guard the ball and protect the ball better because that's the uptick. It's bigger and faster in the WNBA. And in some ways, they haven't adjusted to that totally in some little corners and areas of the game. It's a problem to a degree. 4 rebounds for Laura, also 2 assists, 1 turnover, a -21. Ugh. Maria Conde was good in a lot of ways last night, but also bad in some ways too. 34 minutes, 10 points on 5 of 14 shooting. She shot a lot. 0 for 7 from 3. And Sandy gave her a pass after the game. She said, I know we took a lot of threes and some people didn't make any, but I thought that they were open, good shots, and I had no problem with them. So she's basically getting Maria off the hook for an 0 for 7 from 3. The place that Maria, and this is totally her move because she did it a few times last night, is this crazy runner where she goes running into the lane somewhere, and she decides to fall back the other direction away from where she was running, and she makes these fall away shots, these little 10-foot shots, and they look like they don't have a prayer, but because she puts them up high enough and they catch the back of the rim or the backboard, and she has a good shooter's touch and technique to get the highest probability of falling in, she was making all these weird fall away shots. And I like them. They're very quick too. Like they practice them. Like this is one of her moves in the game. And Julie and other people are looking for her cutting across like that. And then, the defense meets her, and all of a sudden she either spins away from them or falls back away from them. And she shoots these sometimes bank shots. Sometimes it's just like it's a nice spin so that when it hits something like the rim or the backboard, it's got a good chance to make a little bit of action and play to fall and drop in. And she had quite a few of those. That was most of the shots she made yesterday. And that little move, that drop, that little, yeah, we were doing a couple of really cool slip cuts also. They were doing a couple on us too, where, there's a little bit of switch and then like there's a slip cut and somebody's all of a sudden got an open pass and you just throw the ball over and they're laying it up. There was a couple of those for us and a couple of those for the other team also. But yeah, Conde, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 turnovers, and 1 steal. I think Conde should have probably been on the line at least once because she was getting fouled too. Even on those fadeaways, she was getting fouled on those too. A -8. Also, from the bench, we'll talk about the bench. Now, this is a big part where they beat us too. Is because a lot of people are out, like Sykes and Mabry. We don't have a complement to our team. In fact, I would make the argument because we're an expansion team, we have not had a proper bench this whole entire year. There's no firepower on our bench. We've been very starter heavy. The beginning of the year when we were having success, it was monster games from Sykes and Mabry that were carrying us. And if we don't have them and we're just trying to struggle to get double-digit points on our starting lineup, which we all successfully did, I was very happy that all 5 starters got double digits, but they needed to in the absence of Marina. The bench has to score more. And it's tough to find that when a lot of your very good bench players are starting because people are out. And that's been a big problem because only 8 bench points for the Tempo last night. And I can make the argument that one of the biggest differences in the margin in the game last night is that Valkyries have bench players that are contributing, specifically Saloon, who gave 24 points off the bench yesterday. So it's tough. We have no bench production, and we did overplay the starters a lot in this game. We played them heavy minutes. Isabel Harrison came in off the bench, returned to the lineup. In some ways, I was wondering if she would start. 17 minutes for her, only 4 points. 2 of 9. She's got to find her rhythm back. She was 0 for 4 from 3, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, a -21. Yeah, first game back for Izzy, and she needs to get her rhythm and get back into things again. But she's going to be way better next time. And in some ways, this was a first game back game. Temmie, no points. Are you trying not to score on your old team? Do you feel an affection to the Valkyries? Did you pull punches, Fag Benley? Seriously. At times I didn't totally trust you out there. You're helping up the other team off the court. Yeah, because they're your own teammate. So where's this competitiveness that you talked about last year with your fierce statements about things? Where is it now for the Tempo? Oh, in some ways you're on a team that doesn't have any teeth. So in some ways you can't be that kind of attitude. So instead you're going to go the other way, turn the other cheek and help the other team up and not score a single point for us. As one of the key bench players for us last night. Not a single point, Temmie. 11 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 2, 0 for 1 from 3, 6 rebounds, though, 1 turnover, a -5. Yeah, that's suspicious. And well, Sandy didn't leave you out there for too long for you to damage us from the other side. Are you a double agent? I'm just wondering. Kia Nurse, 17 minutes, 4 points, 1 of 4 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 2 assists, 0 turnovers, a -19. Nothing really to talk about there. Kia just being Kia as a backup guard for us, and she's a solid bench player for us, guys. I'm telling you right now, her expertise and a lot of things she does for our team are important, very important. Tiani Key made a 1-minute appearance at the end of the game in garbage time, missed a shot, made a rebound, made a turnover, was a -2. Yeah, really only an 8-woman rotation. And not even really a heavy one. The starters played very heavy yesterday. I don't mind that lineup, though. It's really a Europeans and Kiki lineup with Maria, Niara, Julie, Laura, and Kiki Rice. It's an interesting lineup. It's an interesting lineup. Going to the other side, I'll give some props to Janelle Saloon. 24 points and 9 of 15 shooting. Yeah, this is a good player. This is a good player, 4 for 9. I may not respect the Valkyries team overall, but I respect this French woman. She is a good player. Burton's annoying. I don't like her at all. 17 points, 6 of 10 shooting. And Kia Stokes, a big monster game, 8 points with 11 rebounds and 5 blocks. The 5 blocks were key. And, Kia Stokes, I've been familiar with her because I've had her on my fantasy team in years past. She's not really an offensive player, but she's a dang for sure a good rebounder. That's for sure. Yeah. So, yeah. And Tiffany Hayes, I don't really like you at all. You're annoying. You're annoying. So yeah, that's looking at them on the other side. Team stats are interesting. There were a couple battles that the Tempo won, but in some ways it didn't matter that they won them because they still weren't that close to beating them in the end. Shooting wise, they shot 49%. We shot 43%. It wasn't that far off, honestly. Three pointers was very far off though. They took one less three than us, and they made double the threes we made. We shot 23% from three, and they shot 48%. Now, Sandy said after the game, well, that could be like if we have our normal shooters like Marina, our best shooter, we would keep up with them with threes better. And we don't normally shoot this bad a percentage from three. So this is definitely a huge key part. Them doubling up us on 3-pointers and getting 14 more points than us from that. Yeah, they got more than 14 points than us on that. They outscored us there a lot. Let's just say that. They get double what we got. They got 21 more points than us at the 3-point line. That's the right thing to say right there. Free throws, pretty even getting the line. They shot slightly better at the free throw line. The refs weren't too crazy with unfairness. They really weren't. Although Charles Watson definitely is not for the Tempo. Now we are 0-4 with him. He is the worst ref in the WNBA. For us, we've lost all 4 games he's refereed this year, and he's the worst. He's the worst. Sassano is 0-3 with us now. They are the 2 of the worst refs in the league towards us. Kevin Fahey was looking out for us. There were a couple of calls, and he was listening to our people, and he was trying to be diplomatic. There's one point in particular, he was convening with Julie Alamon and listening to her, and he looked like he's actually trying to be fair. He's a good ref. I like Kevin Fahey, but Charles Watson, you can go suck eggs. I'll say that right now. You can go suck eggs. Yeah, rebounding, we out rebounded them, and Trevor was bragging about this after the game. I'm like, yeah, but we lost. Who cares if we out rebounded them? Who cares if we won the points in the paint? We lost. It doesn't matter if we win single categories. I mean, in some ways, it is a key category for the year and kind of showing like, this is an area we could do better. And there have been a couple games recently where we have won the rebounding battle, but we still haven't won. That's the whole thing. We got to put the whole thing together. 34-26 on the rebounds. Assist to turnover ratio, 26-8 for Golden State. That's a really good ratio right there. 26-8. Only 8 turnovers for the Valkyries. Meanwhile, they get all up in our business and we cause more turnovers for us. We're 20-13. This is a little bit better than recently, though. Some of the games in the recent past, some of these games last week, we had more turnovers than assists. So at least it's trending in the right direction with 20 assists, 13 turnovers in the Valkyries' first game last night against them. Points in the paint, we just barely beat them. Honestly, the points in the paint are even, Trevor. 36-34. It's really just 2 points. So, yeah, that's my look at the box score real quick. Yeah, Niara, man, you are such a battler. You're doing such a good job trying to do what you can in there. In fact, there's something back in the day called barbarians. They were like battlers. They were like people that were really get in the fray and use brute strength and force to get what they have. Well, Barbarians is also a restaurant in downtown Toronto. That's right. Barbarians has steak seasoning, and that's my straight goods on Canadian Goods today. Is Barbarian steak seasoning. I bought this at a at a home hardware location, an independent hardware store in a city near me, a little town. Barbarian steak seasoning comes from the famous Barbarian Steakhouse in Toronto, who created this recipe in 1959. A complex blend of more than a dozen ingredients, including sea salts, garlic, onion, and a blend of fine herbs and spices, cane sugar, garlic, and onion, but low in sodium and without preservatives or MSG. Harry's famous seasoning has been imitated but never duplicated. It's a Canadian steakhouse legend and a battle and a staple we've carried in our shop for decades. Like I said, I bought this at a hardware store in the checkout line because they were saying so. Barbarians, you're going to be cooking out this summer, so you get out on the grill, get the steak seasoning from the famous restaurant downtown, Barbarians. That's right. That's right. There you go. Boom goes the dynamite on that one. Yeah. Nameless is here. Good morning to Nameless 416. I'm going to pick up this tempo show in season 2. Yeah. That's fine, Nameless. I mean, listen, you know, I know that everybody's going to come around on the tempo at their own pace. Some people won't. Some people be like, I don't have time for the WNBA. I've noticed that some Raptor freaks are taking the summer off as normal, and they'll probably be back in the fall, but that's normal. It's like school. You go away for school and you come back in the fall and you see your friends then. All right. Speaking of a friend of mine, here we go. We got the Infamous Six live on the show and the reaction this morning. Good morning, Infamous.
Good morning, Lex. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I woke up real nice this morning, and I'm happy to enjoy my civic holiday with the presence of Miss Adriana. We're going to have a nice day today, and let's take a day off on a long weekend, right?
Glad to hear it. That's why I'm going to keep it very short today. It's going to be very short.
Cool. But at least I want some trivia. Come on now.
Yeah, I got the trivia for you.
Okay.
This one is a Raptor related one.
Okay.
So there was a historic game on November the 3rd. This was the first Raptor game played, of course. Me and you are very familiar with that, and others. Can you name the starting lineup, the bench, and as a bonus, can you name the players that were DNP'd?
Oh, geez. You're really...
This is a tough one.
All right. I'm not going to be able to do all of this, but I'll give it my best shot, okay?
Please. Yeah, just give your best shot.
Now, I don't think I'm going to do the DMPs. That's something that, like, I'm not going to try and do. I'll do the starting lineup for sure.
Starting lineup.
I'll try and do that. All right. Damon Stoudemire.
Correct.
Alvin Robertson.
Correct.
Ed Pickney.
Correct.
Jean Tabak.
Correct.
And Willie Anderson.
No,
not Willie?
No.
Okay,
no.
Carlos Rogers?
Correct.
Yeah. All right, cool. I got it on the second pick. All right. So Willie Anderson off the bench.
Correct.
And at that point, Tony Massenberg? No. He was a DMP?
He's not on the list.
Oh, he's not on the list.
He's not on the list.
Okay. Well, can I do that? I got 6.
Okay. I'll just give it to you quickly.
Yeah. Go over it real quick.
AC Earl.
Yeah.
John Sally and Tracy Murray.
Okay.
And Jimmy King.
And Jimmy King too. Yeah.
I remember I was very high on Jimmy King. I don't know, for some reason I figured Jimmy King was going to really do something because he came from
it was the Fab
the
Five.
Michigan squad, right?
Yeah, the Fab Five
right?
hype.
I remember that.
The hype.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people like Jimmy King, Ray Jackson, they just didn't do what the other 3 did. They just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Tracy Murray was one of my favorites, though. I love
Tracy Murray is definitely a celebrated Raptor alumni, and he really loves the Raptors. He really loves the Raptors, and in fact, hearing him on documentary Sense and him, he really embraces his Raptors history, and he owes a lot to the Raptors, and he understands that. So in some ways, like I love that because like he could be Rockets Nation, he could be Trailblazers Nation, but he really is Raptors Nation. Tracy Murray.
Yes, he is. Love him.
Yeah. All right.
Let's get into the game.
Yeah, let's get into it. Here we go.
Okay. I just want to say that was one of the most. Last night's game was one of the most enjoyable games
I watched. It? Oh, okay.
Loved it. And and you're probably wondering why it was a loss. But I enjoyed it for the fact that we competed for all 4 quarters. Yeah, I believe we competed. In my opinion,
things kind of fell apart in the 4th, and I would say that like some point in the 4th, all the wheels came off, and it was just kind of over at that point. It really was around when they started missing the free throws when they were trying to come back that things kind of just stopped. To me,
yeah. Like I had a feeling we weren't going to win, But the thing is, because we're missing. I mean, you can't be missing players like that and win. I mean, come on. I mean, we're missing three of our best players.
And you know, it's actually apropos that you did the trivia question that you did, is because we've got to remind everybody that this first edition of the Tempo is probably the least talented team that they're going to have for their existence.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that.
Because like you just named a bunch of guys on the Raptors in the first game that we ever played for the Raptors. And you're like, what? Jimmy King, AC Earl, you know, like, Ed Pickney. Yeah, I get it. So as we improve the talent, we're going to be able to compete with teams like Golden State, Atlanta, a lot of other teams better.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think that's why I can enjoy the game, because I'm not putting high expectations on this team. I realize it's an inaugural season. I don't really expect us to make the playoffs, and you could just sit back and really just enjoy good basketball.
Yeah.
And you can also look at the future too, because Kiki is going to be a part of our future.
Oh yeah,
you can see it.
Oh
you
yeah,
can definitely see it.
Well, I'm the kind of person. I think that the difference is like some people are instant gratification people. We've talked about this subject a lot in over the weeks and months recently. And some people are actually people that really get a lot of enjoyment from a long, slow process and seeing it really over time. And when you finally get to the destination of like a WNBA championship, wow, does it feel good? Because you really were there from day one. You really were there from the baby steps and the very initial stuff and the tough stuff and the stuff that was hard to kind of watch and the stuff that was difficult. That's really when the fans really get that true sasatisfaction and payoff, is because they went through it all with them. And some fans will show up right at the end of the assignment. Yeah,
I was a Raptors fan from day one.
So you understand. So absolutely. See, you and I are like that. So it's like we get that. But see, I understand a lot of modern fans have no patience and they have no ability to kind of go through. Like I can watch the rest of the end of the season and know that they're not going to make the playoffs and know that they may not win a lot of games and absolutely enjoy it just like you, because I can understand what the future may look like in years to come. And I want to see the whole story. I don't want to miss the dark part just because it's not as fun because we're not winning, you know? So,
and you made a good, I remember you made a report saying that, you know, what's going to be great about this team is that we're going to be, unlike the Raptors to a certain degree, we're going to be a very popular destination for players.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason too is that you're coming here, you're not playing in winter.
No.
You're playing in summer.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
Canadian summer, especially in Toronto, is beautiful.
Beautiful. So you don't that hang up about the weather and all that kind of stuff. That's not going to even be a part of it.
Yeah, so, there was a couple of things on my list that was saying, you know, also I would say that women in the WNBA are more likely to be more progressive thinking and leaning. And, you know, they may find it's more habitable in Toronto in some ways because of the progressiveness of our country and also because of the multiculturalism and things like that. So that's a huge plus. And then the coach. I mean, there's a lot of things that are attractive about our team. And they can see the fun that our team was having even when they were losing. They can see like, wow, the Tempo really have a good fan base. Wow, they get the whole country. This could be really good. Like, I mean, Morrow's showing up and Morrow may be thinking, you know, I may have opportunities to do advertising right across the country of Canada and make some money doing this. You know, there's all kinds of different ways of looking at it. And I think that your first point about the weather is a huge one, is a huge distinction between the Raptors and the Tempo as far as what's helping them. And I hope that it can avoid some of the pitfalls and mistakes that the Raptors made in their early franchise histories. But also maybe they have some of the same problems. Like I'm talking about maybe Canada tax and stuff like that. But also they have, you know, even the way the league covers them may be shaded just like they do the Raptors. But there may be some things that the Tempo avoid that the Raptors didn't have to go through. And I think that that's one of them that you hit it on. It's like the whole idea of free agents not wanting to come to a Toronto team because the weather or taxes. I don't know if that's exactly going to be true for the Tempo. So
correct.
yeah,
But here's the thing, like the thing that I think the coverage of the tempo has been pretty fair. I mean, they put us in primetime games. They put us in.
I have a theory on that though.
Okay, go ahead.
My theory is this. All right, new is like exciting, but it's not that they put us on there for serious reasons. And in fact, I will make a prediction that they'll put us on there this year and they probably won't next year. It's because of the
Really?
novelty of it. It's because of the novelty of it. And so my theory is also that they want to teach the American audience through Amazon and whatever channels putting them on nationally down there to disrespect us, because that whole game this weekend against the Lynx that was on Amazon at the Scotiabank Arena last week, the announcers disrespected the Toronto Tempo, talked them down, talked like they were a farm team, talked like they were a joke, made all kinds of jokes about them. And that's conditioning the audience to look at the franchise as a joke. So I think that they have to.
I usually turn it off.
Yeah, I had to turn it off for sections of it, and I started listening to CBL broadcast instead and watching visually the Tempo game. But that's why I think they're doing it. Is that and you notice that the games that they put on nationally down south are games against huge teams, like there are Scotiabank Arena games, and we're not winning them. We're not winning them. And that goes with what they did before. That part of the reason why people didn't respect the Raptors for the beginning was because not just because of the way they played, it was the way they were presented and the way people talked about them and talked them down. And in some ways, this is something we're still fighting. And a big reason why I have this channel is the disrespect towards the Toronto Raptors unnecessarily or wrongfully, just because there's this whole thing that some people are holding on to, that we're just this purple dinosaur team that's shitty and is an expansion team, even though we're 30 years old at this time, you know?
Right.
So I think that's why.
Go ahead.
I think that's why is they're showing us.
No, that makes a lot of sense. There's just three things. The reason why I like the game, I just want to touch on these three key things.
Sure.
The reason why I really enjoyed this game is because, and this is nothing against Eminem, I love the ball movement. I thought the ball moved a lot freer with her not on court because we're so dependent on her. And this is no disrespect to her, but we're so dependent on her that sometimes she's like the release valve, and
all the schemes are centered around her and trying to get her free and moving her around.
This game we had more movement to a certain degree. I thought the ball moved a little bit
because it's true. It's like there's no defined kind of this is the alpha woman that's going to be the leader on the offense. I mean, Kiki could have stepped up and been that more, but she wasn't really stepping into it like aggressively to be that. And it was really kind of all over. You've seen a lot of very strong moves by Niara. Isabel was trying to get going, but she never really got her shot dropping.
I got to touch on her.
Yeah.
Alex, I know you're going to agree with me right off the bat when I say this. And I think I've seen enough evidence. This is just my personal opinion. Conde's got to go, man.
Oh.
I'm not a fan of her game at all. Her ball IQ, I find that she needs to get stronger. I don't think she's very strong in the paint sometimes. And it's every time she touches the ball and she makes a play, I'm like, I know, it's almost like I know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be a turn.
I mean, I've been frustrated with her at times this season. I've been very critical of her. But this is funny that you've come to this conclusion as of last night.
Yeah, I've had enough.
I actually came to the opposite conclusion because I actually see her merit and why Sandy loves Maria so much. I actually figured it out. It really is that she's an engine. She pushes the tempo. In some ways, if we're going to be this team that really pushes things, Maria is one of the engines, like Julie. And she's a little bit chaotic and out of control. But part of it is I don't think it's her IQ. I think that she's a risk taker and she tries stuff that, she's been successful with. But in some ways, she's, once again, like my point was earlier, her and Laura are adjusting to the WNBA size, speed, and strength. And they're still trying to figure out, like, you can't do this here, but you could do this in Euro. And that's part of the learning curve. In some ways, I say don't give up on her yet, because first of all, I see an offensive potential for her. And if she cleans up things and she becomes more well-versed with the WNBA, a lot of what you're seeing that's annoying you will go away. Watch.
See, I can handle Laura because Laura gives you other things. Like
Yeah.
I can see the progression with her, and she does some things sometimes. I'm just like, wow, Laura did that. Wow,
Yeah.
just like a nurse. I'm sorry, Kiki did something last night that I said, yes, she's gonna be a star.
Yeah.
Do you remember when she grabbed the rebound and took it coast to coast?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was special.
Yeah.
That was special. I saw that one play and I'm like, oh, okay. Okay.
I
I
think
see you.
I think like in some ways, and rightfully so, because they're very similar
Mhm.
situations. Yescada and Conde have this, and the reason why I can see this is because they're together, right? And you can kind of see they're going
Right.
through the same thing. So that's how you really know this is a transition for a European player to North American basketball because they're making the same kind of mistakes. And that makes you think, okay, is this a problem with them individually, or is this just a systemic problem between the cultures? Because
Mhm.
because you can see them making the same mistakes. Laura has been both exceedingly frustrating to me, but also at the same time, wow, that has a lot of promise. And look at what she just did there. Conde, in some ways, has been doing the same kind of stuff to me recently too.
Laura's a little bit more consistent though, and she gives you other
That's
things.
true.
But Conde is just, I just had it. I try to be
Well,
patient with her, and I try to,
we'll see how
we can
things
have a different
go.
of opinion on her, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay. It's okay. Yeah.
We'll see how things go. It could very well be that she's only playing for us this year, but
Mhm.
I think that there's a lot of promise in her, and that I would like to see her come back next year. The thing is that it may be that she played in this league and she's like, this shit is not fair. It's not right. It's not fair league. They're
Right.
calling fouls really fucked up, and she gets fed up with it, and she's like, I don't want to play over here anymore, because she took a long time to come over for in the first place. She was supposed to come over like 4 years ago, and she
Mhm.
just now came to WNBA this year. And this kind of stuff happens. We can think about Vishenkov with Sacramento Kings, and
Right.
how like you're a big fish in a little pond over there, but over here you're a big fish in a big pond, and there's other fish that are bigger than you, and you're not the effective player, or this or that. I hope she
Mhm.
sticks. I personally hope she sticks around, because I do see a switch or a turn in the corner up here in the future with both
Okay.
Yescada and Conde, where they learn the WNBA game to the point where they're not making the Euro mistakes around it anymore.
Gotcha. Can I
Yeah,
make my final point? This is my
sure,
final point, and
sure.
I'll get out of here. And hope you enjoy your day. What is your opinion on the Kelsey Plum trade? Because I have I have an opinion on that. What's your? Did
I
you hear
mean,
about it?
I don't, not being a huge WNBA expert or anything, so I don't feel like my opinion on it is totally like well informed. What I would say
Okay.
is this is Kelsey Plum played for the Aces, won championships, has a
Mhm.
certain level of winning in her history, and going to the Sparks and being on the team like that, she probably didn't like it. And in some ways, I've heard this parting was amicable. In some ways, the Sparks were about to lose her anyway, probably, so they had to get something for her. Her going to Mercury is interesting. I don't know how much that needle pushes them towards being higher in the standings from being at the bottom. I mean, we'll see
It,
them
it
on
was a
Saturday the 29th. We'll have to see if
yeah.
we beat their ass like we did the first time we went to Phoenix this year. We'll just have to see. So I don't know. I mean, Kelsey Plum's a powerful player, and we'll just have to see what the fit is. It seems like in some ways maybe she stepped on the toes of Copper as far as the role, but who knows?
Yeah. Here's the problem with the trade. It was a dumb trade,
Oh,
and a
okay.
lot of people, a lot of experts in the league are saying it's a dumb trade.
For
The reason
who?
why it's a dumb trade, well, it's a dumb trade for the Mercury to
For the
make,
Mercury. Okay.
because here's the problem. She's already came out and said that she's still gonna go into free. She's still gonna explore options
Oh,
in free. So you gave up all that for a player that might not even be with you. You see what I'm saying?
yeah. I mean, I could see that
And
aspect
then
of where it's saying it's like that. I mean, sometimes
right,
Phoenix teams have been dumb this past couple years. I mean, both are they owned by the same people, the Mercury and the
I'm not
Suns?
sure.
Because the Suns have been mismanaged for like 5 years now.
Oh my gosh.
And if they're the same people, then this would explain what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah.
smart trade because you're trading for a player that's still going to explore free
Probably
agency, so
walk,
you
yeah.
might lose it. And then you're bringing her into an environment. Look at the players that she's going to be around. They're all ball dominant players, just like her.
Well,
Like,
either way, I
to a
mean,
certain
the
degree.
problems for the Mercury, I don't care in some ways, but
Everybody's saying
I
it's a
mean,
dumb
this is an
trade.
interesting take on all this, and I mean, I won't disagree because I don't know. I would say that like that does sound stupid by Phoenix. And well, I mean, if they're the same kind of ownership and people that are running the Mercury as the Suns, then it makes sense because the Suns have been poorly run recently. It does.
Yeah.
All right, Infamous.
That's
Thank you
all I
for
got.
calling,
That's all
man.
I got today, Lex. Have
Yeah,
yourself a beautiful holiday with your
I
lady,
appreciate
and
that. All
touch
right, I'm gonna
grass.
give you a trivia question on the way out, just real quick. And
Okay, sure.
and this has to do with
I'll
your
try.
trivia question. Who
Mhm.
was the first Raptor to ever touch an NBA ball in an NBA game ever?
Oh my gosh.
Like, who is
The
the first Raptor to ever touch a ball in NBA action in the history of the NBA in a regular season game?
first player to touch the ball. Is it anybody in the starting lineup? There was
Well,
someone.
it's obviously one of
Yeah,
the answers
yeah.
from earlier.
Okay. I want to say I would go with the center. I can't remember. Was it Tabak?
No, it was Ed
Who was it?
Pickney. Ed Pickney did the
Oh,
jump
all right.
ball, and he officially was the first Raptor ever touch an NBA ball in an NBA game ever in the history of the NBA. Ed
There you
Pickney.
go.
Yeah, yeah,
There you
because he
go.
did the jump. He did the jump, and he won it. He tipped the ball to Alvin
Yeah.
Robertson, and
And
that's
by the way, folks, we won that game.
yeah, we did. We did
Sorry to
win that
forget.
game. We
Yeah,
did win that
94 to
game.
79.
Yep, and that
94 to
was the
79.
New Jersey Nets.
New Jersey Nets,
Yep.
correct.
All right,
Thank you,
Infamous. Thanks
Lex.
for the call and thanks for the trivia and thanks for
You're
your
welcome.
takes on the WNBA. Fantastic stuff.
And
Thank you for
yeah,
informing
touch
me on the
grass.
Kelsey Plum. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Have
will.
a
I'll
great day.
touch grass today. I will for sure. I
Touch
promise.
grass.
All right,
Bye.
man. Take care. I look forward to your next call. All right, cool. Infamous 6. Good stuff there. Good stuff there. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, let me see what else y'all are saying in the chat. Let's keep going. Nameless is saying, in Italian, they're actually the Toronto time. Tempo means time, right? Right. Yeah, that makes sense. The Toronto time. Oh, we. Morris Day. They should get a Morris Day mascot or have Morris Day in the time do halftime show. Yeah, they're still touring. Morris Day in the time. I mean, they were supposedly going to play old child rapist's 250th America First birthday party, but they backed out when they realized what it was. Yeah, Morris Day in the time. We could get them down there. That's right. Oh, we. All right, Slug Deezy's got a very serious question, and this is a hot button topic in the WNBA right now due to Sophie Cunningham and some of the things that have been going on around the league right now. Quite a few of the coaches are speaking out, including Cheryl Reeve. And last night, even Natalie Nikasi, coach of the Valkyries, made her stance on this subject very clear also. And I'm with them too. I'm for inclusivity. That's the thing. Now, I understand there's a lot of fear mongering by right wing politicians about men being in women's bathrooms and all kinds of crazy shit like that. But, if there's a sanctioned governing body for sports and they have certain parameters and certain standards for who is qualifying for competitions, as long as it fits those kind of parameters, I'm for inclusivity. So that's the way I stand on it. I do not stand with Sophie Cunningham, if that's what you're asking me. I do not stand with Fox News. I do not stand with Child Rapist Party. And in some ways, the whole issue of transgenders in sports is not that big of an issue. This is not a life or death situation like healthcare or housing or pollution in our waters and shit like that, or surveillance state. This is a distraction topic that is absolutely a very small percentage of people that get affected by it. And even those people that are negatively affected by it, well, what is that? What are they really negatively affected by? They lose a competition? Is that life or death? So I say this is the distraction topic. It's silly. In some ways, once again, I'm for freedom, and freedom means people to be who they want to be and who they are. And some people want to be transgender. That's, to me, they're right. I'm not outlawing transgender people. In some ways, if they want to compete and stuff, but it fits and it works, As long as it's sanctioned by governing bodies that are looking at all the test results for hormones and all this kind of stuff, and it's by the rules, then there shouldn't be a problem, right? But some people want to fearmonger. Some people want to use certain things as boogeymen, and they'll make it a whole bigger deal than it is. Once again, this issue is not that important. It really isn't. If you think about the percentage of where this matters, it's so minuscule. You can talk about the transgender athletes till you're blue in the face, but why aren't you talking about the grandmas who just got kicked off their health care insurance and they are starving because they've got their cost of living go up, but their incomes have stayed the same and they're in fucking horrible places? There's a much huger percentage of people in the United States that have this issue than transgender people in sports. It's a distraction issue. And the right are using it while they steal the social safety net for people that are in trouble, like the elderly that need money to be able to pay for their ever rising prescription costs and shit like that. So yeah, that's my stance on that. I believe in inclusivity. If I was a transgender person, I probably wouldn't want to compete in sports just because this would all be a headache. And this seems silly as fuck in some ways. I wouldn't be trying to do stuff like that, but that's just me. To make it seem like there's a burgeoning amount of men trying to transition to become women just to play sports against women, that's a crazy ass thing. That's such a minuscule percentage of people that are doing this. And people are making a mountain out of a molehill, is what I would say right there. If the sanctioning body has rules and they follow those rules, that's the thing that matters. If they want to make a rule that says no transgender athletes in their region, that's their right. And I'll look at it as saying, yeah, you can do that, even though it's discriminatory in a way. But if that's your right and you want to do this, especially for specific sports, it may matter more. For specific sports, it may matter more, this issue. But some sports, it maybe doesn't matter as much. I don't know. In some ways, this is an issue I don't study up on because I don't think it's really that important an issue. It's a fringe issue, and it's a boogeyman issue to scare Christian nationalists who are all woo people. They're freaks and they're trying to do this and that. Yeah, it's a boogeyman issue, and it's so stupid how many people buy into it and really make it such a huge deal. They get all in a frenzy about it. Who cares? How's this hurting you? Meanwhile, there's people getting bombed in Iran and there's a genocide in Gaza. And meanwhile, y'all are worried about this shit. That's what I would say to that. That's what I would say to that. That's right. That's right. Good question, though, Slug Deezy. I appreciate you asking me my stance on this. Should they be allowed to play in the WNBA themselves? I mean, I wonder if that's already happening or not. I don't know. In some ways, their private parts ain't none of my business. There's a couple players that I'm like, is this a transgender individual? I don't know. In some ways, it's like, it's none of my business to a degree. And it's Kathy Engelbert and Adam Silver's business. And they can figure it out for themselves. Joanna Man stuff. This is what we're talking about today. Kaz is saying, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Trucker Kaz. Good to see you. He's got off the road again because it's a day off. It's a Monday off. That's awesome. Fiercey's back. Let's see what Fiercey's saying. Thank you guys for supporting my channel, Trevor and Fiercey. Good morning, fam, and happy Monday. Just checking in to say hi and happy the Blackjacks clinched the playoff spot. All right, this is a great cue for me to do my overview of the CBL playoffs, which the brackets are set. Today is the last day of the Canadian Elite Basketball League season, and there are 2 games today. There's a game here in Scarborough at Pan Am Center. It'll be Scarborough versus Brampton. And this game is important because Scarborough's going for 20 wins in a 24-game season. They've only lost 4 games this year. And if they win today, they're going to break the record for most wins in a CBL season. 19 is that record. So they are going for it today. Even though this game doesn't really matter, all the seeding is set. It's for pride. It's for records. So I fully expect the Scarborough Shooting Stars to kick the shit out of Brampton Honey Badgers at Pan Am Center today at 4 p.m. Also, out west, the final Western game is going to happen between Saskatoon and Calgary. It's a game that doesn't matter for anything because Calgary's out. Saskatoon's got the spot that they're going to have. They're not moving in the standings. So yesterday, there was a lot of huge action. And one game in particular was the battle for the West. And that was Vancouver versus Winnipeg. Now, something crazy happened on Saturday to the Winnipeg Sea Bears. They were trying to travel to Vancouver, and they had horrible air traffic problems. And I have a conspiracy theory that I want to talk about right now. And maybe somebody like Mr. Gray could help me see if this is actually maybe true. The Canadian Elite Basketball League has had more attention on it this season than ever. They've had fights, including between Vancouver and Winnipeg, where a fan got involved and there was more national attention on the league. The league is growing, it's getting more of a spotlight, and it's indicative of me covering it on this channel more in depth at this point. Now, yesterday's game against Winnipeg and Vancouver that was going down in Langley was supposed to be nationally televised on CBC proper, on TV, not just on CBC Gem, not just on the CBL Plus network, not just on YouTube for free. They were going to broadcast the battle for the Western Conference #1 seed, which was a tied record, 14-9, both teams, winner take all, on CBC on national television yesterday. It didn't happen though. Why? Well, I have a conspiracy theory. Something happened yesterday on Saturday for Winnipeg Sea Bears when they were trying to travel from Winnipeg to Vancouver. There was huge, massive delays and all kinds of fucked up shit that happened with their planes. They ended up flying to Calgary, then flying to Edmonton to fly to this, to that, to get to Vancouver. And it took forever and it fucked the team up for rest. And what else happened, because it took so long for them to get over there, they backed the game time up a couple hours and they lost their national TV spot. And the game was not televised nationwide on CBC TV yesterday afternoon. I think there's a conspiracy here to hold down basketball in a hockey-hungry nation, and hockey people fucked up the plane and messed up the whole national broadcast of the CBL yesterday. This is the only game the whole entire year of the CBL that was going to be on TV like that. And they lost it because of plane problems. I think this is full of shit. I think that people are scared and they didn't want people to see Canadian Elite Basketball League action on CBC across the country. It pisses me off. The game was not very good. The Winnipeg Sea Bears were jet lagged and messed up, and they absolutely got routed. Vancouver won the game 114-90, and they didn't even have our guy Jarkel Joyner or Tyrese Samuel, because Tyrese Samuel, the Montreal native, had his wisdom teeth pulled out on Thursday and couldn't play. So still, in their absences, the Australian Mitch Creek showed up and dropped 28 on them, and he does qualify for the playoffs now because he played enough games this season for the Bandits. So he will be able to play this week later on in the playoffs. Shamar Givants got 16 and 18 assists, so he got a double-double. And the Sea Bears, they just had trouble in general. 20 points for Acott off the bench, leading scorer for them. So Vancouver wins the West. They're the #1 seed in the Western playoffs, and Winnipeg is #2. But does my theory seem crazy to you? I don't know. I think that there was a plane trouble for the Raptors this past season on a trip from Toronto to Brooklyn, and we lost the Nets on a Sunday in a back-to-back situation because they didn't get any sleep the night before. And this smacks similar of this and what happened here. I think the biggest problem was that they had to back the game up and they lost their national TV spot because of it. Yeah, fishy stuff. Either way, the playoffs are set because of that. And part of the playoffs were set yesterday in Edmonton. And this was a plucky game by Ottawa and the Blackjacks. They had to play to win. It was win, you're in. Lose, you're out. And Montreal, the Lions, were watching them closely because they're the ones who are either going to go in or out, depending on with Ottawa won or not. This game was close, Fiercey. This game was not easily won by Blackjacks. They were tied in the target score time, and it was very, very much in danger that the Stingers could play a spoiler to Ottawa and put them out of their playoff aspirations. They could have really done that, seriously. Alas, Javonte Smart and his crew overcame it, and they did win the game in the end, 96-89. And yeah, the leading scorer for them was Smart with 22 points on 9 of 20 shooting. He also had 10 assists, and then a double-double from Isaiah Moore with 16 points and 13 rebounds. Now, as I was saying earlier in the chat about the flakiness and the hand gestures and the taunting and all the extracurricular shit in basketball, well, there was ugliness marred in this game by that too. Isaiah Moore at the very end of the game was very tacky as a winner towards the crowd in Edmonton and also to the Stingers team, and really, really classless. Really, really classless. And as the announcer on CBL said, this is not helping our league grow. The attitudes of these players and acting out like this is a turnoff to the fans. You act like that. You just beat the home team on the crowd, and now you're acting like this towards them. You got to understand this is a business where you want it to grow. You don't want people to have a bad experience. And when you give them a bad experience, they don't come back. So, Isaiah Moore, is it better for you to be cocky and be a bad winner and act like an asshole at the end of the game and for your own jolly shenanigans? Or is it better for you to be a better player and a better citizen of the CBL so that the league can grow and that it can be better for all you guys? I think that this is the thing that these players in the CBL need to start understanding. In some ways, y'all don't totally respect this league, Miles Powell. So you don't mind getting technicals and treating the referees like trash and talking shit to everybody and acting just generally in a bad way that reflects poorly on basketball players and the sport itself. You're trying to win over the country of Canada to buy into the product and to be into it. And more honorable actions and behavior is more attractive to Canadian people because they don't like cocky. They don't like braggadocio. They don't like hand signals and gestures that are cocky and asshole shit. And Isaiah Moore was guilty of this shit at the end of the game. And in some ways, it was such a bad look. I mean, seriously, y'all are trying to sell this league. The commissioner needs to come down and say, players, stop doing this shit because you're turning off people just as equally as you're turning on people to the product. You're turning off people. Alas, Ottawa won, regardless of whether Isaiah Moore was a poor sport at the end of the game, and they will be in the playoffs. So here are the seeds, and this is how it's going down. On August the 6th, there will be the first round of the CBL playoffs this week, and I'm going to the Scarborough game. I'll be sitting in the end zone of the court right under the basket like Nab Bhatia would when they play the Niagara River Lions. That's right, the two-time champion going for the three-peat will get the number one team in the league in the first round that is going for 20 wins today. So Niagara, Khalil Ahmad, come see us at Pan Am Center on Thursday. And I will be there watching the game. And that game will be at 7:30 in Pan Am Center. So yeah, that's the one in the 4 seed in the East. The other matchup will be Ottawa visiting Brampton at 7 p.m. They will play Brampton as the number 2 seed. And of course, the winners of these two games will play each other in the second round. So yeah, it is Niagara versus Scarborough and also Ottawa versus Brampton in the Eastern Conference of the CBL. Out west, the matchups are as such. Since Vancouver won yesterday, they're the number 1 seed, and they will host the Edmonton Stingers in the first round at Langley, BC. And then the other matchup, it will be Saskatoon Mamba traveling to Winnipeg to play the Winnipeg Sea Bears in the Canada Life Center, and that will be a huge game. Of course, once again, the winners of those two games will play each other in the second round, and those second round games will be on August the 8th, which is Saturday, and those will be afternoon games. So yeah, CBL playoffs are here. Today's the last day of the season. OVO day down at Pan Am Center today. If you want to go to the Pan Am Center for the game today, it's OVO night. And they'll have special OVO giveaway. And who knows, maybe even old Drizzy himself will show up at the Pan Am Center to watch the Scarborough Shooting Stars close out their season and go for 20 wins against Brampton Honey Badgers. So, yeah, that's your CBL check-in right there. The playoffs are set, and I'm excited. I'm really excited about going to this game. I'm going to be sitting close to the action, right underneath the basket, and I will be trying to distract the River Lions from making their free throws. Yeah, I will. I'll be going, ooh, oh. I'll be Mr. Whammy. Yeah, but yeah, happy for the Blackjacks. But man, Isaiah Moore, why you got to ruin things by being such a jerk right at the end of the game? Basketball is not totally popular in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And, jackasses from the States or somewhere coming up here and then acting like that, that's going to make people not want to come back. That's not going to make them come back. You got to remember that. You got to think about that. There's more honor in winning with dignity than being a jackass like you were. That's right. Fiercely saying this Tempo was competitive at first. Let's see how tomorrow's game will be if both Marina and Anissa play. That would be nice. Let me do my Toronto Tempo Redditor of the day. It's Kerfuffles. Kerfuffles80 posting some tweets from Chelsea Light. Coach Sandy on Anissa Morrow joining the team via Chelsea Light. These are quotes from Coach Sandy. She is relentless in the rebounding department. I think that's an area that we struggle. She's evolved as a player this year, shooting the 3 ball well. She's got this high motor, so why not? I think there's a lot of things that go into making moves. She's a good piece for us. Morrow won't play for the Tempo yesterday. They will build her up over the next few days. Brondello also talked about Morrow being the perfect balance when it comes to team need, but also time left on her contract so that the Tempo can continue to build around her for the future, solved immediate issues, but also sets up for the future. So that's the standpoint of Sandy Brondello on the new acquisition of Anissa Morrow as far as long term and short term. And yeah, they call her Windex. I want to see her start cleaning the glass. That's right. Good morning, Fiercey from Mr. Greg. Stargate is here. Good morning, Stargate. Kaloy saying this morning, everyone. Time flies and it's already August. This has been a fantastic summer. I've enjoyed this summer immensely. This summer of the first year of the Tempo, this summer of me embracing the Canadian Elite Basketball League even more and covering it more heavy on my channel. This has been fantastic. It's been a very basketball filled summer. And normally this is such a dry season for basketball. We get summer league, maybe some Rico runs, and that's it in the past. But the Tempo, wow, they really have filled in the gap for me with my basketball watching activities in the middle of the summer. And I'm still getting out and doing all this typical Sunday summer stuff like barbecues and spending time out in the sun and doing fun things like going on hikes and stuff like that. So I really have been feeling good about this summer. My garden's been doing well. There's been all kinds of good stuff. And now it's August and I feel like I've gotten a full summer and I still got 2 more months of it because really summer goes till October. So yeah, we've got a lot of summer and heat and stuff. Even though CNE's coming quick, doesn't mean summertime and summer weather is over. If the trends set are staying the way they have been the last couple of years, we're gonna have summer type weather right into October. So yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing this great summer. And well, when it gets cold, I get Raptors basketball, and that's the trade-off. Oh, it's going to be cold. It's going to be winter again. Oh, that sucks. A lot of people get upset about that. Oh, winter again. The thing that gets me through winter is Raptors basketball and being able to watch the Raptors play. Yeah, that keeps me warm during the winter. That's right. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Kaloy's saying, yeah, they say that there is less than 1% that identifies trans, and it's is in sports. It's a non-issue. Yeah. So it's like seriously, if you've got this issue in your sport, and there's some nemesis of yours, and you're a female, and they're a transgender female, and you're making such a stink about it. I mean, I can understand why you're doing that in some ways, but in some ways, this is like such a small fraction of anything. Then they blow it up into such a huge proportion and really make it a boogeyman and scare people about it. Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We got to stop taking distraction topics and getting obsessed with them and get to the real meat of the problems, like losing healthcare, losing your house, losing the ability to feed your family because grocery prices are rising up like crazy. These are the real issues. But if you want to go ahead and talk about transgender this, transgender that, you're missing the point. And there's other things that are burning down and falling apart around you. It's crazy. It's crazy. Stargate saying this, the time does indeed still tour. Morris Day, Jerome, now Jerome. I didn't do that. Now Jerome, Jimmy Jam, and Terry Lewis. Those producers are part of the time too, eh? That's cool, man. Yeah. Oh, we, oh, we, oh. Yeah. Infamous is saying this. Aisha Clarendon played 11 seasons in the WNBA as a trans person, played for the Fever, the Lynx, and the Sparks. See, there has been a trans player in the WNBA already, Slug Deasy. According to Infamous, Clarendon was actually a trans person, and they played in the league, and they're done. They had 11 seasons. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Fiercely saying Isaiah Moore is extra. I agree. Well, I'm just thinking about the league and its health. In some ways, that's something that's very important to the NBA players and the NBA union and the NBA owners and Adam Silver is that to get across to people like Dylan Brooks and John Morant that y'all are representatives of the whole company and the whole enterprise, and you can hurt the business by acting like jackasses. And that's what some of the CBL players need to understand. Now, I understand the risk reward of being the CBL, some of it's throwaway. The CBL doesn't have as much teeth as the NBA because the NBA is the creme de la creme. And if you get blacklisted from the CBL, it's not going to hurt you as bad as the NBA. But still, if you're in the CBL, there should be some sort of part to the contracts that says, you know what, you're going to reflect, you want to make our league look good. You want to reflect well on us because we're trying to grow and we don't need this bullshit. We don't need this because, Canadian people are nice people and they're not braggadocio. They're not cocky. And some of those values and those characteristics in some of the players in the CBL are going to turn off the average Canadian. And if you're thinking about expanding the game and making the league bigger with more teams and getting more notoriety and good things happening to it, in some ways, they need to have more of an agreement with individual players saying you are a representative of this whole enterprise and you reflect on it overall. That's what they need to do. They need to talk to these guys and understand that, because in some ways they're messing up, they're promoting by being dicks. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, Fiercely saying this, got to go, fam. We're approaching Saint Martin, going on the French side of the beach where the planes land. Oh, cool. I always remember seeing that beach where the planes land right over your head. It always looks like they might take your head off. That's cool. So you're going there today? That's very cool, Fiercey. Well, I'm glad that you and Fiercey Jr. are having such a great Royal Caribbean cruise right now. And such good stuff. You guys are having an awesome vacation, it seems like. Stargate saying, nice, Fiercey. Been there a number of times. Beautiful island. Have fun. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, enjoy. Yeah, Kareem's saying this. St. Martin and St. Thomas are both beautiful islands. Fiercey, are you doing Turks too? I'm not totally sure. Yeah. Slugdeezy saying this. Simple fix. CBL needs to add a code of conduct to the players' $8,000 a season contract. Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know how much they're charging or paying these guys. In some ways, that, that may be part of the reason why these guys don't feel that like they have to respect the league is because they're getting paid peanuts. And it's like, well, if I piss you off and I don't play for you, well, I just go to Europe or I just don't play here anymore. And that's fine. That's part of it. That's part of the problem with the whole thing. But I think there should be more of a code of conduct. And a CBL, if you're listening to me, or if there's people that are, they're probably already got this in the works. I think that this season's shown like all kinds of crazy stuff. Bad conduct by players, bad conduct by coaches, bad conduct by fans. All guilty during this season of the CBL. All guilty. And that incident in Winnipeg with Vancouver Bandits and Kyle Julius and Jalen House and that fan sitting at front row, that was not a good situation. And in some ways, Kyle Julius, who was at the game yesterday as a GM watching his old team that he coached, he should have been better himself. The code of conduct should have been in effect for him because he was wrong in the whole exchange with the fan also, using slurs and name calling that was not conducive of a family environment or anybody should be saying. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Slugdeezy saying 8 to 14 grand a season. You looked it up. That's how much they make. So the lesser players are going to make 8,000, and the bigger players are going to make about 14. Interesting. I mean, that's 24 games plus the playoffs. If you think about that with the payment, so if you're a lesser player and you're getting paid 8 and you play 24 games, how much is that? Anybody want to do the math? For 24 games, you get paid 8,000. How much is that per game? And plus they're probably getting money for hotels and travel, and they're not spending it on that too, right? That's interesting. Thank you, Slugdeezy, for that information. I had no idea what they were paid until you just told me that. And I'm going to give you a dunk for information. Really, really interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize that. You got the Morris Peterson 24, my guy. You're a Mo Pete 24. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Yeah. Stargate saying Maho Beach is actually the Dutch side, not the French side, right at the end of the runway of Princess Juliana International Airport. It's an experience for sure. Enjoy. That airplane stuff always makes me think of Wayne's World and that one scene, like a plane flying real close like that. There was a airport at the airport in Tallahassee. There's a place to hang out at the end of the runway like that. That when I was in high school, we went down there, and that's actually where I smoked my first cannabis joint ever in my life. It's kind of crazy. I was pretty young, and I was with my friends, and we were out at the Tallahassee Regional Airport at the end of the runway, watching the planes land over our heads. And my buddy sparked up a marijuana joint, and I smoked one for the first time. I didn't get high though because it was the first time. And then I stomped out the roach, and they all yelled at me like, "What are you doing? You don't do that!" Oh man, I was such a newbie, was such a noob, right? But and then right after I had my first joint, I smoked my first cigarette. So I literally smoked a cannabis joint before I smoked a cigarette. Yeah, I quit the cigarettes. I did, but the other thing, I didn't quit that. That's right. I didn't quit that. All right, let me keep going with my tabs real quick. All right, check in with the HD. We're in the middle of the gate of privacy, gate 33, and we're on the fourth day, the fourth line. And the word for today is dignity and a lack of turmoil in retreat. So it's about kind of taking your privacy and taking to yourself and getting out of the chaos of life, carving out your own little serenity and privacy, and having a dignified life away from all the noise. In detriment, it's without the guiding light of resurrection, the inevitable dissolution that leads to degeneration, forced to retreat and unable to see its regenerative qualities. Okay. But in exaltation, it's the underlying faith in resurrection that turns retreat into an opportunity for renewal and regeneration, the healthy retreat for regeneration. Sometimes life gets hectic, things happen. You could have health problems and you have to take time off or go away just to take care of your body and get your health up. That's what this is talking about. Sometimes you have to take time off just to heal, just to get better, just to fight something that's hurting you and you need to beat it. And that's what this is. That's what this line is all about. The dignity to go into your own privacy and heal and fix yourself and come back stronger. That's what the line energy is today. That's right. The word for today is dignity, y'all. Dignity. That's right. Let's see if there's any breaking news. I see that they did trade Kevin Gosman to the Chicago Cubs and the Blue Jays. Yeah. Let's see. There's news on the Dallas Wings right now. Just came out from Alexa Philippou that the Dallas Wings will play at American Airlines Center for the season next year. They're preparing to move from Arlington to where they played since relocating from Tulsa to Dallas, where it's also building a new practice facility. So the Wings are going to play in the same arena as the Mavs next year. So that's the breaking news that I'm seeing on the wire right this second. Let's do the Toronto Raptors Redditor of the day. It's the liquor talking. And they have posted, well, for Scotty's birthday, his 25th birthday on Saturday, Raptors official admin was posting all of his baskets each year in the 5 days leading up, but they screwed up. They're so bad. Like they do AI prompts and they still can't do this right. Like, what's wrong with you, Raptors admin, with your 2-minute highlight reels? What's wrong with you? You do Raptors, Scotty's rookie season, all baskets made, 5 days out. You do Scotty's second season, all baskets made, 4 days out. On the third day, you do Scotty's all of his baskets from his fourth season, skipping the third season, but labeling it as the third season. You idiots. And everybody got on the comments and said, this isn't Scotty's third season. This is Scotty's fourth season when he wore the glasses and he got scratched in the eye. Yeah, we know. We're fans. We love him. So they got it all mixed up and they did them out of order. But they did drop all 5 seasons eventually. And then they came out with the compilation, which is every single Scotty Barnes basket ever made in his career. It is 6.5 hours long, the clip. That's right. You love Scotty? Watch that for half a day. That's right. But yeah, YouTube, in some ways, it's like, look, I'm glad that we can see this stuff. In some ways, maybe this is partly a benefit of AI that you can just put in a prompt with all their footage and say, I want every single Scotty Barnes basket. Okay, here you go. AI. Boom, spit it out. It's not like y'all are doing any editing work. You're just using AI prompts once again. So don't act like y'all are some cool. In fact, you're horrible at it to the fact that you couldn't even get the right years in the right order when you're putting them out. So don't pat yourself on the back, Raptors admin, for this. In some ways, it's a nice thought, but you didn't really execute the delivery on it right, even though it's so freaking easy to how you could have. So yeah, it's kind of sad that y'all didn't get this right. Honestly, you're using AI. This is going to be indicative of a lot of bullshit coming up. AI is going to fail, and people using AI are going to be idiots too, and it's going to be stupid. So yeah, have you tried to order from AI in the McDonald's drive-through? It's a fail. It doesn't work. Trust me. So either way, it's the liquor talking. They posted every single Scotty Barnes basket on Raptors Reddit because they went out and did that. 6.5 hours, y'all. You guys watch. Which one of you degenerates is actually going to watch this whole thing? Is what they're saying. Man, I'll put it on as a background during the day one day. Watch. I will. I'll put it on in my. I'll be working, doing on other projects, and it'll just be my background TV in the background. Yeah, I'll watch a little bit of it. I'll watch a little bit of it. Kareem Thomas is saying this: if I lived in Miami, I would never pay rent. I just do cruises. Apparently, it costs less money to live on a ship than to pay rent. That actually sounds like that's true. Although I would say this, cruise ships, and I'm not trying to be indicative or indicting of fiercy, because a lot of people do cruises all the time. Cruises are horrible for the environment. Absolutely horrible for the environment. The big cruise ship industry is horrible for the oceans. It's horrible in all kinds of different ways. You know, cruise ship society with the people that work on the ships is crazy. It's crazy. So there's a couple of issues I have with that industry and the degradation towards like the ocean and the amount of shit that drops out of those cruise liners. They're going around and just like there's a lot of problems with them in some ways. But I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying here. Yeah. KT saying Dodgers are the 90s Yankees times 1,000. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. The Dodgers are just trying to win stuff by paying for it. That's right. And the sad thing is the guy who owns the Dodgers and the guy who owns the Lakers, he made a lot of his money off for-profit prisons. And this is an interesting story. I heard recently that comedian George Lopez, who used to have his show, George Lopez Tonight, he has stopped following the Dodgers and the Lakers, and he's been a fan of both those teams his entire life. He's a diehard Lakers fan, a diehard Dodgers fan, probably a huge Dodgers fan. He has denounced his teams. He will not follow them anymore since Mark Walter took over ownership of those two teams because he realizes that Mark Walter amassed his wealth to be able to buy those teams by incarcerating people that look like him and African Americans and other people in for-profit prisons. So yeah, we can say, you know, Lakers fans, Dodgers fans, you guys are kind of full of shit and you're fucked up because your team and your monies that are spent to pay for these big time players for the Dodgers, they came from incarcerating people in for-profit prisons. George Lopez took a stand. He said, this matters to me more than being a fan of these teams. I'm not willing to participate and be a part of this anymore because I don't like the fact that Mark Walter made his fortune off of for-profit prisons. Yeah, I admire George Lopez for that. I really do. Kareem saying AI stealing jobs. Yeah, for right now, that department may have had a bunch of people in the editing department, but now there's probably just one jabroni, and he's probably not even that smart. He could even be a Rogers family member. Oh, you can do it, cousin Junior. Come on in here. Let old Uncle Eddie show you how to do this. AI is fantastic. All you need to do is type in a prompt. A prompt is a thing that you give to AI to make it do what you want. That's all you have to do. It's your job now. You're the entire Raptors admin for the Raptors YouTube channel now. I'm so proud of you. You're so smart for doing this. Thank you, Uncle. Thank you. I will prompt this. That's what this shit is. Seriously. They fire 8 people to give one job to a jabroni, and that jabroni doesn't even know how to put the prompt in. That's right. That's right. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Stargate wants to talk some old school wrestling right now, and he's brought up Barry Darso. Barry Darso. Barry. Which gimmick are you? He's been so many different gimmicks. over his history. And, if you guys want to check out a very cool wrestling podcast, check out the Demo Pod. Demo Pod is Demolition. It is Bill Eadie and Barry Darso. And they have a podcast out right now that's absolutely fantastic. They talk about their old times being a tag team as Demolition. They talk about all kinds of old school stuff. Bill Eadie digs into his mass superstar days, and Barry Darso will talk about his Jim Crockett days before Demolition. And they talk about Andre the Giant and wrestling him so many times as Demolition versus Haku and Andre. It's a fantastic podcast. But Barry Darso is a very interesting wrestler. He's one of the Minnesota guys. He came up with Rick Rude and Mark Headstrong and Kurt Hennig and Sean Waltman and people from Minnesota. So he's a true Minnesota guy, Barry Darso. But he went down south and he made his name in Georgia. He started working for Crockett, and he started as Crusher Khrushchev. Is one of his jobs. He got put with Ivan Koloff because Nikita had to become Dusty's tag team partner. They had kind of a group, and they were together. Nikita, Crusher Khrushchev, and Ivan Koloff, the Russians. And Magnum TA got in his wreck, and his wrestling career was over. And in some ways, they needed another babyface, and they saw something. Dusty was brilliant. There's a lot of bullshit said about Dusty Rhodes these days that's absolutely incorrect. People say he was selfish. He was not holding people down. That's all horse shit. That's all horse shit. The people that say that Dusty kept himself on top, well, he deserved to be on top. He was creme de la creme. He was a name since the 60s almost, and a top wrestler in the world, name recognition. And really what it is, I think it's more recent fans that look at his body and say, that dude wasn't supposed to be up there. Motherfucker, if you went to a Dusty Rhodes match in person in the 80s, you would see the charisma and the electricity that he caused, and you would be like, yeah, this guy's a main eventer. This guy's a real deal Holyfield. Don't look at his fat rolls. Don't look at his lack of definition and just judge him from that and say, oh, Dusty was just holding everybody down. No, Dusty was good for the sport. Dusty booked right. That's why Crockett Promotions was good. And he may have put himself in spots and top spots, but he was still good. I hate that narrative that people have about Dusty. It's not true. He was not a bad booker. He did not hold people down. He built people up, honestly. And Dusty, Magnum TA went out and was supposed to be them against the Russians, Magnum and Dusty. So they pivoted and they made Nikita a good guy. They did the whole Allied powers, and it was Russia, Nikita defecting and coming with Dusty, and he became such a huge face after that. So Ivan had Crusher Khrushchev, which is Barry Darso, as the other guy, and then they even brought in this other guy who I forget what they called him or something like that, but he was another big Russian guy, but he was an American guy acting like a Russian. And Darso got hurt and he couldn't really do it, so they had to use the other guy, Pietrov, with Koloff against Nikita and Dusty. And then he got the call to come to WWF. What happened was there was Moondog Rex was the first Demolition Smash, but everybody recognized him as being Moondog. And they started chanting Moondog, Moondog at Rex as the original Smash with Axe and Demolition, that tag team ripoff of the Road Warriors. And Vince had to switch it out, and somebody in WWF was looking out for Barry, and they said, Barry, come up, we're going to get you this job, and you're going to be in Demolition. So he grew his hair out so he wouldn't be bald anymore, so he would be looking very different than Crusher Khrushchev, because that's what failed Moondog Rex being Demolition Smash, is everybody recognized him, and they were like not buying it. So, and it worked. And the crazy thing is the chemistry between Bill Eadie and Barry Darso was very real and very, very good. Very, very good. Those guys really worked well together. And it led to a Demolition tag team run over years where they held the championship as one of the longest tag team champions in WWF history. And it went really long time. Now, at a certain point, Bill Eadie was old and he couldn't really wrestle anymore. So they brought in the third member of Demolition, Brian Adams, who became Demolition Crush. And that worked to a degree with Axe as the manager and Crush and Smash being out there fighting and stuff like that. But then that ran out, and Darso came back to WCW. And well, he had a lot of gimmicks after that. He had all kinds of crazy gimmicks. Of course, he was the Blacktop Bully for a little while. He was Repo Man, where he was in WWF, where he was the Repo Man with a little mask and he was like stealing people's stuff back. He was in WCW as a golfing wrestler called Payne Stewart. And he'd literally come out in golf clothes and a little golf hat and a little putter. And he was the golf wrestler. Yeah, he had a lot of different gimmicks over his time. But Barry Darsow is an interesting wrestler. He's somebody that is known in the industry as a good hand, a good worker, a good dude, and somebody who is around in a lot of different incarnations. So yeah, there's my little spiel on Crusher Khrushchev, aka Smash, aka Barry Darsow. There, I hope that was what you wanted, Stargate. A little bit of an overview on the great Barry Darsow, an underrated guy, and now, as of this year, WWE Hall of Famer. Finally, they finally did it. They put Demolition in the Hall of Fame this year. It's a big deal. Slug Deezy, good to see you. UC saying, if Shohei chose the Dodgers over us because of the spending power of the team, then I hope the MLB gets a salary cap. I didn't know the Dodgers owner did for-profit prisons. Actually, inhumane shit. Yeah, he does. And like I said, George Lopez is not a fan of his beloved team since he was a little kid anymore because of him. And he just bought the Lakers. So this is an issue for the Lakers now as well as the Dodgers. It's an issue for both of them. UC saying, I don't get why the players union is so against the salary cap, though, to the point that MLB fans also hate the idea of a salary cap. It's an American ideal to have the freedom to make as much money as you want. It's the same reason why Elon Musk should never be a trillionaire, let alone a multiple billionaire. It's because, oh, God damn it, if you're going to tell me that they can't make that money, that means I can't make that money. And I want to be able to make that money someday. So that's infringing on my freedoms and rights. No, idiot. It's not healthy for the ecosystem. It's not fair. Let's just put it that way. It's not like Elon Musk made his money honorably. He's not at the top of the money list because of honor. That man has been given he's been paid taxpayer money directly from Donald Trump in a whole scam to help him get elected, going back and forth with making the money off each other in crazy ass, awful, grifting, mafioso ways. So it's like, look, I'm a firm believer in a floor and a ceiling in the economy for everybody. A basic income at the bottom, which is a floor, where everybody has enough money at the very bottom to have housing and food on their table. And that's, the basic needs that they need. They right to water, housing, and privacy, and their own place. And they're taken care of. Then that's the first thing we need to do. It's not about letting people make as much money as possible. There should be a cap on the top too, where you made this much money. Good. You get the end screen of the video game. You won. You get the little fun cartoon ending of the video game because you won. You got the last level. You got the highest level of income that you can possibly have. And everything you make over this is taxed now, is going straight back into society for infrastructure, for roads, for libraries, for hospitals, for schools, for fire trucks, for police. That's where the money should be coming to fund the people, is from the very top, because they have a gross amount of riches to the point where it's disgusting, and they're buying the whole system and perverting it from within by buying politics. No, that money should have been going to public works, but they made socialism sound bad, and they're just awful, dreadful people. So yeah, baseball and MLB, it truly is an American pastime because it's a corrupt ass fucking sport where you can pay to win. And that's it right there. It's that clear and easy to put in succinct words right there. That's it. That's why I don't respect Major League Baseball. And you're right, UC. Players should want a cap because a cap makes it more healthy and makes the league more competitive. If you have it like baseball, there's only going to be like 2 or 3 teams that realistically can win the World Series every year. If you have it like the NBA, you have about 12 teams that have a chance to possibly win the championship every year. Your choice. You want to turn off the markets of most of your teams because they have no fucking chance in MLB? You do that over and over again. How long do you have to be a Pittsburgh Pirate fan? How long do you have to be an Athletics fan? How long do you have to be a Devil Rays fan? Why even be fans of these teams if you have no chance in hell to win anything because the Dodgers are buying all their championships? That's it right there. Yeah, the sport itself is awesome. I just don't like the league. Well, maybe there's alternatives. Maybe college baseball is really fun to watch, College World Series. Maybe there's a league in another country. Maybe there's Japanese baseball that's much more honorable and fun to watch and much more exciting. You don't have to watch the MLB. It's not like it has the monopoly on baseball. Our friend Milbester, who doesn't come here anymore, and rightfully so, he would tell you watch the World Baseball Classic and watch some of the international baseball competitions that go on around the world over the MLB. I feel bad for Blue Jays. I feel bad for the Blue Jays fans. In some ways, it's like, it's a stupid fucking league to try and compete in because of the way it's set up and the way it works. It really is. I think it's so dumb. Honestly, do. Honestly, do. All right, let me see. What else do I have in my tabs? Well, I'm running out of tabs, y'all. It was the final day of our fantasy week yesterday, and we've got a new week starting now, and it's going to be new matchups. So get your fantasy league set up. The winners from week 11 were me, Meredith, Kareem, Fiercey, and Cool Cat. And this week's matchups for week 12, there's only 2 more weeks in our season, and then it's the playoffs, will be me against Logical Raptors Fanatic, Smoking Aces versus MK, Reese's Nieces versus James, Kaz versus Fiercey, and Kareem versus Cool Cat are the matchups. So set up your WNBA fantasy teams so you're ready for this week's action. All right, yeah, let's go ahead and do the classic card. Let's see if we have people here. Hopefully still people here. We're right at 2 hours. Okay, I'm going to do this card, and hopefully you guys get it pretty quick. I'm running out of cards. There's only like 2 cards left in the classic box right now. All right, here we go. Let's see who remembers who this player is. Classic card of the day. This is a pretty well-known player. This guy was actually one of my favorite players at his time. I was a big fan of this dude. In fact, he was a huge influence on me for the way I shot the basketball as a player myself. He's somebody I stole a lot of technique from because I thought he was one of the best shooters in the NBA when he played. And if you know who he is, you know who he is. Dale Davis is not the right pacer. That is not Dale Davis. Dale Davis is not known as a shooter. Isaac Campbell, good to see you, though. Benevolent one, holding it down in the Canada's capital of Ottawa. That's right. Go Blackjacks. Your team's in. They're going to get to play against Brampton on Thursday in the first round. Let's see if they can beat them and get a chance to possibly play the Scarborough Shooting Stars in the second round. Kaloy thinks that's Al Jefferson. Al Jefferson's too big. He's a center, and Dale Davis is a forward center. This guy's more of a small forward in his position. His little brother played in the NBA at the same time as him at that time. Mike Tyson. No, it's not Mike Tyson. This guy's little brother played in the league at the same time as he did. But this guy has a nickname. Yeah, UC knows. That's right. It's Chuck Person. Chuck Person. His brother was Wesley Person. And Chuck Person was one of the best shooters. He was on the team with Reggie at the time in the Pacers. And honestly, he was almost as good a shooter as Reggie was. Everybody forgets about Chuck Person. But like I said, his shot was one that I mimicked for myself when I used to shoot. So yeah, Chuck Person is the classic card of the day. And UC's getting the classic card today. Yeah, Person. His name's Person. Yeah. Chucky P. Kareem's got Chucky P up there. David West. No. Yeah, Chucky P. Chuck Person. That's who we were looking at. Slug Deezy is a little late. UC came in and got it today. And I'll say that card is kind of easy, but I've been giving 150 for that era recently. So I'm going to give you 150 points for Chuck Person. Yeah, Wesley wasn't as good. Of course, Chuck Person went to the Spurs and played with David Robinson and Dennis Rodman at Spurs for a little while. And he was really good on that team. That was another reason why I liked him, because I was a huge Spurs fan. So 150 for UC. And let me go ahead and see where you are in the standings. I'm doing live standings updates instead of just posting it in the chat or in the comments after the show. All right, where's UC? UC's there. Okay, UC's going to 600. UC does not go up above anybody, but you do get another 150 and you go to 600. So the rankings down to UCR. Slug DC, number 1, 2350. Stargate, number 2, 1850. Fiercey, 1631. Seymour, 1250. Kene, 900. Smooth Brown Man, 700. And UC, 600. That is the ranking, and that's where you're at in the rankings right now. For there you go. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. The Tempo lost again last night. They've lost 6 in a row. The Valkyries are a team that I don't respect. I feel like they're being propped up. And if we had some of our people back, we would have probably maybe won the game last night. Seriously. I think Marina and Morrow, if both of them had played last night, we probably could have won that game last night. I'm going to say it. So, yeah, don't totally respect the Valkyries. I just don't, guys. You can't make me. My stars of the game were Niara Sabali, Kiki Rice, and Julie Alamont. They were my 3 best tempo in the game last night. All right, I'll be back tomorrow for a preview of game number 2 in Golden State against the Valkyries. We'll have the latest lineup news. Hopefully Marina will be clear and playing. And we'll have the refs, and we'll talk about what's going on with them. UC saying, take care, y'all. Lex is the GOAT. I appreciate that, man. And Cool Cat's coming in right at the end of the stream once again. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. We are so close, but yet losing. First year still going strong. Players are lighting. Well, it's just a learning process. It's an expansion team doldrums. That's what I've been calling it. We're an expansion team doldrums, and these are normal. And there's no problems with that. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Let's go Tempo. And let's go Scarborough. Let's beat Brampton today and get our 20th win in the CBL season, 20-4, and break the record for CBL best record ever in the history of that league. You can do it, Miles Powell and Frank Mitchell. I know you will today at 4 p.m. at Pan Am Center. Brampton Honey Badgers versus Scarborough Shooting Stars, the number 1 team in the CBL, going for 20 wins. So, yeah, you can watch that game on YouTube for free this afternoon if you want to see the greatness of the Scarborough Shooting Stars. That's right. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks. Thank you, Randolph. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families. I am out. Let's go Tempo.